Hi, this is Joe Navarro again, and welcome back to People Watching. A lot of you ask about, well, what can you tell from a photograph? Great question. It depends on the photograph. Let's keep in mind that a photograph is a very short period in time. Life is a movie, it's not a photograph. So it's a minute moment in time, and it will be affected by a variety of circumstances, such as where was the photograph taken, indoors, outdoor, who took the photograph, how many people are behind the photograph, what was the purpose of the photograph, things like that. What we don't know just from a photograph is what are the antecedent events? What happened before the photograph? Is it one of these things where somebody said, all right, everybody get together, and then they snapped the photograph? Or is this something that a particular person in the photograph is interested in capturing? And I say this because many people think it's like television, that when you see a photograph that immediately you're going to have evidence of a crime, or is this person in this photograph cheating on me, and so forth. It's impossible to detect such things. I mean, a photograph can reveal a lot from the clothing, from the hair, what decade it is. I remember how women wore their hair in the 80s and how men wore their hair on the face in the 70s. We all remember Elvis with those pork chop and so forth. So there's some things you can tell, the watch that they have, what they're wearing, many things having to do with culture, decades, and fashion. But because humans are so complex, there are many more things that we cannot detect. For instance, many times people who are shy or introverted don't want to be photographed, and so when they end up being photographed, you might see a face that is not particularly happy. Has nothing to do with the person taking the photograph or even the environment. It just has to do with the reluctance to have their photograph taken, or that the person taking the photograph is so inept that it always takes too long, and that may affect things. So when we talk about what can we tell from a photograph, can we see the full depth of what the person is experiencing on the face? And sometimes, what we can tell from a face, if someone looks shocked or in pain because they just experienced something terrible, yes, we can tell a lot from that photograph, but many times we cannot. Culture will affect what we can tell from a photograph. In some cultures, it is impolite to smile and show the teeth, so you may see some laughing or giggling and the covering of the mouth. In other cultures, it's more polite to be very stoic and stiff and so forth. So we have to be very careful. Personality affects this. Some people are very gregarious and outward-going and jovial and outlandish in their attire. They're very much vivid. And that affects, of course, what we see on the screen or in the photograph. So personality sometimes shows up in these photographs, but it's not always a guarantee. So when you look at a photograph, ask, what were the circumstances? Who was there? Was this at a party? Were you guys hiking? Is this someone you've known for a long time? How close to them are you? And so forth. As I said, oftentimes we don't know what events took place before. If you just got a flat tire getting to a party and you walk in and they say, well, let's take a picture, you may not be in a very happy mood, or your face may have a different countenance than everybody else. So that may be a factor. And you may be ill-disposed to be photographed, and maybe you are already thinking about what will be coming next. So the before, the during, and the after are always a factor. Once again, who's behind the camera and what was the purpose of the photograph should be considered. And of course, selfies. I take many selfies with a lot of people around the world. For me, they're a lot of fun, but when they're fumbling around with a camera and it's not working, sometimes it isn't fun. Always remember that for a lot of people, picture taking is very intrusive. They're very concerned about their privacy. I've known some celebrities who actually don't really like being photographed, especially in their private life. And so when they're being photographed, as they're coming out of their own house, sometimes they scowl or they look with contempt. But that's only because it's an intrusive process. Always remember that the more honest photographs are the ones that are not staged. That's why nanny cams are so great when the person doesn't know they're being photographed. Staged events are just that. And in fact, I often reject looking at photographs for analysis when they're staged because for a lot of people, this is live theater. So there it is, very quick. What can we tell from photographs? It really depends on the photograph, who took it, the circumstances, the culture, and the period in time. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please subscribe, please ring the bell, and I look forward to talking to you again.